The summer sun was hot over the flat land of Kansas. Luke was staying with his grandpa on the old family farm. He'd been sent there by his parents, who wanted him to spend some time away from the city. At first, Luke didn't like the idea. There was no internet, no friends, and nothing to do. The farm felt old and quiet. Even the animals seemed bored. Grandpa Henry was kind, but didn't talk much. He woke early, fed the animals, and spent most of the day fixing fences or sitting on the porch. Luke spent his time walking through the fields or reading books in the barn. At night, he would lie on the grass and stare at the stars. He often wondered if anything was really out there. One night, everything changed. A big storm rolled in with strong winds and bright lightning. Thunder shook the walls of the farmhouse. Luke couldn't sleep, so he looked out the window. That's when he saw it. A strange blue light was shining in the cornfield. He grabbed his flashlight and ran outside. The rain had stopped, but the air still smelled of it. As he moved through the tall corn, the light grew brighter. Finally, he reached a wide open space. There, lying in the middle of the field, was something big. It looked like a metal ship, half buried in the dirt. Luke took slow steps toward it. The ship was silent, but had a soft glow. It was shaped like a large drop of water, smooth and without any windows. One side was cracked open, as if it had crash-landed. He reached out and touched the metal. It was warm. Suddenly, a voice came from inside the ship. It was calm and clear. It said, "Your army awaits, my lord." Luke jumped back, looked around, but there was no one else there. The voice had come from the ship. He wanted to run, but his feet felt heavy. A door slowly opened and a faint light spilled out. He could see a dark hallway inside. Didn't know why, but he stepped forward. The inside of the ship was quiet and clean. Strange symbols glowed on the walls. The floor felt smooth under his shoes. As he walked, the voice spoke again. "You have returned. The blood of the first commander flows in you. The Empire waits for your command." Luke didn't understand. What commander? What empire? He was just a boy from the city, spending a boring summer with his grandpa. He moved deeper into the ship. Lights turned on by themselves. A large room opened up ahead. In the center of the room was a glowing table. It showed images of stars, planets, and ships. One planet looked like Earth. The image zoomed in, showing the farm, the cornfield, and even Luke himself standing inside the ship. Luke reached out and touched the image. The table changed, showing scenes of battle. Strange creatures fought with glowing weapons. Ships flew through space, firing beams of light. A tall man in strange armor stood at the front of a large army. He looked just like Luke. Luke stepped back. The voice said, "The enemy rises again. Only the true heir can lead us." He turned and ran out of the ship. The air outside felt cooler. He ran back to the farmhouse and slammed the door. His heart was beating fast. Grandpa Henry was sitting in his chair. He looked at Luke and said, "You saw it, didn't you?" Luke nodded slowly. "What is it?" Henry stood and walked to the window. He looked out at the field and said, "Something that was waiting for you. I saw it once, many years ago, but it didn't speak to me." Luke sat down. His hands were shaking. "It called me Lord. It said something about an army." Henry didn't speak for a while. Then he said, "Maybe it's time I told you a few things about our family." Outside, the ship lay quiet in the field, glowing softly under the night sky. The morning light came slowly over the fields. Luke sat at the kitchen table, still thinking about the strange ship. He had barely slept. Grandpa Henry poured 2 cups of coffee and placed one in front of him. "You have questions?" Henry said. Luke nodded. "Why did the ship talk to me? What did it mean by my army?" Henry sat down and took a sip. "When I was about your age, I saw something fall from the sky. I went out to the field and saw lights, just like you did. But nothing spoke to me. I waited, and nothing more happened. So I kept quiet." "Did you ever see it again?" Luke asked. "No," Henry said, "but I never forgot it. I always knew something was out there. I thought maybe it would come back someday. Looks like it came for you." Luke looked out the window. The ship still sat in the field, quiet and shining faintly. "Why me?" asked. Henry shook his head. "Maybe it's in our blood. I don't have the answers. But I think that ship knows who you are better than we do." Later that day, they walked back out to the cornfield. The ship had changed. It looked cleaner, less broken. A soft path of light appeared on the ground as they got closer. "It's waiting for you," Henry said. Luke stepped forward. The door opened again. Inside, the ship was brighter than before. He walked to the main room. The glowing table came to life on its own. This time, a figure appeared above the table. It was not human. It had silver skin, long arms, and bright eyes, wore armor, and carried a staff. "Greetings, Commander," it said. "I am Relo, guide of the Royal Fleet." Luke stared in silence. The figure continued, "You are the heir of the last human king of the outer systems. Long ago, your bloodline led many worlds. Your ancestor fell in battle. The enemy spread fear and war across the stars. We have waited for one of his blood to return. Now you are here." Henry stepped beside Luke. "What do you want from him?" Relo turned to Henry. "The young one must decide. He may rise and lead, or walk away. But the galaxy will not wait long." The figure vanished. The table showed maps again. Psst. Bright points of light moved across them. One area was marked in red. Luke turned to Henry. "I don't know how to lead. I don't know anything about this." Henry put a hand on his shoulder. "You don't have to do everything at once. Just take the first step." Back at the house, Luke sat on the porch for a long time. His mind was full. He had come to the farm to escape, not to lead a space army. But something inside him felt different now. The ship had shown him things. Strange images. A man who looked like him. Great war. That night, the ship spoke again. Luke heard the voice in his room. It said, "The stars remember your name. Will you answer their call?" He got up and walked out to the field again. The ship opened for him. This time it showed him more. He saw soldiers, both human and alien, standing in rows. They were waiting for orders. They called him their leader. New room opened. Inside was a small chair and a clear screen. As he sat down, the screen lit up and showed symbols. Slowly, they turned into English words. It was a message left by his ancestor. "If you are reading this, then my blood still runs in the stars. I was the last leader of the free systems, failed to stop the darkness, but you can finish what I began." Luke stared at the message. He felt a strange mix of fear and hope. The next morning, he told Henry he wanted to learn more. Henry smiled. "Then we better get started." They spent the day exploring the ship. It had rooms full of strange tools and lights. Some rooms showed pictures of other planets. One room had a large round table with floating shapes above it. Each shape showed a different world. As the sun set, Luke stood in the doorway of the ship and looked at the sky. He whispered, "Maybe I was meant for more." The ship glowed quietly behind him, ready for what came next. The sun rose over the fields, but Luke was already awake. He stood near the ship, staring at the open door. Inside, everything was quiet, but he could feel something waiting. Grandpa Henry walked up beside him. "You ready to go back in?" he asked. Luke nodded. "I need answers." Together, they stepped into the ship. The lights came on by themselves. In the main room, the table glowed with star maps again. Then, a new light filled the air. A figure stepped out of the light. It was not a vision this time. It was real. She was tall, with gray skin and dark eyes. Her hair was tied back. She wore a dark suit with armor on her shoulders. She moved like a soldier. "My name is Zara," she said. "I served under the last true commander. Now I serve you." Luke looked at her, unsure what to say. "How did you get here?" "The ship sent out a signal," Zara replied. "I followed it. Others will come soon." Henry crossed his arms. "And what do you want from my grandson?" Zara looked at Luke. "I want him to take his place. The galaxy has waited a long time for his return. The war is not over." Luke stepped closer. "I don't even know what war you're talking about." Zara walked to the table. With a swipe of her hand, the star map changed. It showed red lights spreading across space. "These are the Dark Fleets," she said. "They destroyed the old alliance. They hunt those who resist. But with a true leader, we can fight back." Luke stared at the map. The red lights were everywhere. "Why Earth?" he asked. "Earth was never part of the old war," Zara said. "It was hidden, safe. Your ancestor sent his family here before the last battle?" Henry raised an eyebrow. "So you're saying our family came from space?" Zara nodded. Your bloodline was special, carried the strength to lead. Luke sat down on the edge of the table. He looked at Zara. What happens if I say no? Zara paused. Then others will rise, but they may not be kind. They have a chance to shape what comes next. Luke looked at Henry, who gave a small nod. You don't have to decide today, he said. Zara stepped back. I will wait. But time is short. Others have heard the signal. Some will come to help, some will come to kill. That night, the sky above the farm glowed again. A new ship came down from the stars. It was smaller, shaped like a triangle. It landed near the barn. Zara was already waiting. She stood in front of the new ship as it opened. A figure stepped out. It was a robot, tall and made of silver parts. Its eyes glowed blue. This is Iran, Zara said. He is a messenger, loyal to the old alliance. Iran bowed to Luke. I have come to serve. I bring knowledge, history, and plans. Luke stared at the robot. Why me? Because only you can lead, Iran said. The others will follow your blood. In the days that followed, more strange beings arrived. Some were small, some had wings, and some looked like shadows. They did not speak, but they bowed to Luke. The ship gave Luke more visions. He saw his ancestor again, a man with strong eyes leading fleets across the stars. The more Luke watched, the more he felt a deep connection. He began to train. Zara taught him how to fight. Iran taught him history. The ship showed him alien languages. It was hard, but Luke did not give up. One evening, as he stood on the roof of the barn, he looked at the sky and whispered, I'm not just a farm boy anymore. Below, the field was no longer just dirt and corn. It was a meeting place of many worlds. Creatures from the stars walked among the rows. Henry watched it all from the porch. He lit his pipe and said to himself, the world sure has changed. And above them, in the sky, more ships moved in silence, heading toward Earth. Luke stood in the training room of the ship. The walls moved and shifted, creating shapes that looked like enemies. He held a metal staff in his hands, breathing hard. Across from him, Zara watched with sharp eyes. Again, she said. Luke rushed forward. He swung the staff and hit the target. It broke into light and vanished. More targets appeared. He kept going, his body moving faster than it ever had before. After an hour, Zara nodded. You are learning. Your body remembers. Your blood remembers. Luke sat down on the floor. He wiped sweat from his face. I don't feel like a commander. You are not one yet, Zara said. But you are becoming one. The ship taught him new things each day. The walls showed him stars, planets, and battles from the past. Aaron spoke in many languages and taught him how to use his voice to lead. Luke learned how to speak to different species, how to read their signs, and how to give orders. More allies came from space. One was a tall blue woman with 4 arms. Her name was Kira. She taught him how to fight without weapons. Another was a thin man with silver skin who could bend light. He called himself Heir. They all said the same thing. The time was near. The enemy had seen the signal. War was coming. Luke did not feel ready. He walked through the fields at night thinking. He often spoke to Henry, who gave quiet advice. When I was young, Henry said, I had no idea our family was anything more than farmers. But maybe that's why you'll be a good leader. You know what it's like to be normal? One day the ship picked up a signal. It was strange and broken, like a voice calling from far away. The image on the screen showed a burning planet. Ships flew in the sky, and people ran through smoke. Help us. The voice said, They found us. We cannot hold them back. Iran turned to Luke. This was a safe world of the old alliance. It is under attack. Zara looked at the map. The enemy is close. If we do not act, they will come here next. Luke took a deep breath. What can we do? You can speak to them, Zara said. You can give them hope. The ship opened a link. Luke stood before the screen. The people on the burning planet looked tired and afraid. Luke looked into the camera and spoke. My name is Luke. I come from Earth. I am the heir of the last commander. I have returned. We are coming. The screen went dark.
Yes.
Zara stepped forward. Zara stepped forward. That was a commander's voice. Preparations began. The ship started to change. Its parts moved, and new parts grew from its walls. It became stronger and larger. New rooms formed. One was a command room with many seats and screens. Euron worked with the others to build smaller ships. It came from parts hidden deep in the main ship. Soon, a small fleet was ready. Luke stood before his new army. They wore armor of many colors. Some were human-shaped, others were not. They all looked at him with trust. "Fly tonight," Luke said. "Not for war, but for protection. We go to help. Do not let fear win." Cheers filled the ship. That night, Luke said goodbye to Henry. They stood by the porch. "I'll be back," Luke said. "You better be," Henry replied. "And don't forget to write." The ships rose into the sky. The farm grew smaller below them. Luke stood at the front of the command room. Stars filled the windows. Euron stood beside him. "You gave them hope. That is the first duty of a leader." Zara walked in. "The enemy will not expect this. They think Earth is weak. They will learn." Luke nodded. "Let's go show them." The fleet moved into space, silent and bright. The stars watched as the old line rose again. Luke stood at the front of the ship, looking at the stars. The fleet flew in silence, moving fast through space. Behind him, Zara and Euron watched the screens. Kira and Nair checked the smaller ships. Everyone was focused. They were getting close to the planet that had called for help. Its name was Trione. It had once been a peaceful place, full of green land and blue lakes. Now, smoke rose from its surface. "Enemy ships detected," Euron said. "They're blocking the planet." Luke looked at the map. The red lights of the enemy moved like a wall around Trione. It was clear they had come to destroy. Zara stepped forward. "They do not know we are here. We can strike fast." Luke nodded. "Then we do. We protect the people. No one else is coming." He spoke to the fleet. "This is your commander. We move together. Watch each other. Protect the weak. We fight for peace, not power." The ships moved in. The battle started fast. Bright lights filled space. Laser beams flew in every direction. Luke stayed calm. He gave orders. His voice was clear. Zara led a small team to break the enemy line. Kira jumped from ship to ship, fighting with her forearms. Nair used his light power to trick the enemy sensors. Luke flew his ship through the middle. He saw the burning cities on the planet below. People ran through the smoke. He opened a channel. "This is Commander Luke. We are here. Hold on." Euron sent down rescue pods. They landed near the cities and pulled people out. Children, elders, and families climbed into them. One boy looked up at the sky and pointed. His eyes were full of hope. Then a new ship appeared. It was bigger than the others. Its color was black, and its shape was like a claw. The screen showed its leader. His name was Zarnak. Zarnak had red eyes and sharp teeth. His voice was cold. "So the lost bloodline lives," he said. "You are just a child. This will be quick." Luke did not flinch. This child stands for peace. "Your time is over." Zarnak laughed. "We will see." Waho's ship fired a huge beam. Luke turned fast. The beam missed but hit a nearby ship. It exploded. Luke felt anger rise inside him, but he stayed calm. "Zara, can you get close to him?" he asked. "Yes," she said, "but it will be risky." "Do it," Luke said. "We end this now." Zara and Kira flew together toward Zarnak's ship, dodged enemy fire. Nair used his power to block the sensors. Luke followed from behind. They reached the black ship. Luke gave the order. Now, Zara and Kira fired at the engines. The black ship shook. A crack opened in its side. Luke sent in a small team. They entered the ship and placed power blocks. Euron guided them. "The charges are ready," Euron said. "Then get out," Luke said. The team escaped. The black ship tried to move, but it was too late. The charges exploded. Zarnak's ship broke into pieces. The rest of the enemy fleet stopped. Without their leader, they lost their direction. Many turned and ran. Others gave up. Cheers filled the fleet. Luke stood up and looked at the screen. The sky over Trione was clear again. He opened a channel to the planet. "You are free now. The dark is not forever. Help is coming." The people on the ground waved at the sky. Their eyes were full of hope. Later, as the fleet landed on Trione, the people came out to greet them. Luke walked among them. They touched his hand and thanked him. A young girl gave him a flower. "You saved us," she said. Luke smiled. You saved yourselves. We only helped. Zara came to him. You were brave. Your orders were strong. Luke looked at the stars. This is only the start. We have more work to do. Back on Earth, Henry watched the sky with his old telescope. He saw a bright light moving across the night. He smiled. Keep going, Luke, he said. The stars need you. Luke stood at the center of the ship, looking at the screen. Tryon was behind them now. Okay, the fleet had saved the planet, but Luke knew it was not over. He had won the battle, not the war. Zara walked in. We got a new message. It's from Earth. Luke turned quickly. What is it? Euron brought the message on screen. It showed Molly, Luke's cousin. She looked worried. Luke, something is happening here. Strange lights in the sky. People are hearing sounds. Think they're coming. Luke's heart dropped. Set a course for Earth. Now, the fleet turned around. The journey was fast. When they reached Earth, they saw the truth. Several enemy ships had entered the planet's orbit. They had not attacked yet, but they were watching. They are scanning, Euron said. They want to know how strong we are. Luke knew what was coming. He spoke to the fleet. We defend Earth now. This is my home. We do not let it fall. Zara nodded. We will fight by your side. Luke landed near the farm. Grandpa Henry and Molly were waiting. They had set up lights and signs to guide the ships. Other towns nearby had seen the strange things and were scared. You came back, Henry said. I said I would, Luke replied. Molly ran up. Who are all these people? In those ships? Friends, Luke said, and soldiers? Together, they started to prepare. The ship helped build defenses. Strong walls grew from the ground. Small towers rose, powered by alien energy. The barn became a control center. Molly helped pass out food and water. Henry worked with the town sheriff to warn people, and more locals came to help. They did not understand everything, but they trusted Luke. Zara trained a group of humans. She showed them how to fight, how to stay calm, and how to work as a team. Kira helped set up guards. Nair made cloaks that hid the camp from enemy eyes. Luke spent his time moving between the teams. He spoke to everyone, gave hope. Then, one night, the enemy came. Dark ships landed in the fields. Strange creatures walked out. They had hard armor and long weapons. They made no sound. They moved like shadows. The alarm rang. Luke stood at the front. Zara and Euron were beside him. The human fighters were ready. Alien soldiers stood in lines. The battle started fast. Sky lit up with fire. The ground shook. Enemy blasts hit the towers, but they held strong. Luke gave orders through his headset. Hold the line. Watch your left. Cover the south side. Molly helped guide people to safety. Henry stayed with the sheriff, using an old truck to move supplies. Kira jumped into the fight. Her arms moved fast. She took down enemy after enemy. Nair used his power to blind the enemy. Zara fought like a storm, her blade flashing in the dark. Luke led from the center. He moved between fighters, helped the wounded, and gave clear commands. His voice kept everyone steady. The battle lasted all night. By morning, the enemy started to fall back. They had lost too many. One final ship rose into the sky and escaped. Cheers went up across the field. The people of Earth had stood with the stars and won. Luke looked around. Many were tired. Some were hurt. They were standing. Zara came to him. You led well. They followed you not because of fear, but because of faith. Luke looked at the rising sun. They are strong. Earth is strong. The field was quiet again. The alien camp had become part of the land. The people did not want the ships to leave. They wanted to learn more, to be ready next time. Molly walked up. So what now? Luke smiled. Now we rebuild. We prepare. This was only one attack. Henry walked over. Looks like your summer break turned out different. Luke laughed. Yeah, a little. At night, Luke stood alone near the ship. He looked up at the stars. He knew more enemies were out there. But he also knew he was not alone. His army was real. His people were ready. Earth had shown its strength, and Luke had become more than a farm boy. He was now a commander, and the stars were waiting. The fields were quiet now. The battle was over, but the signs were still there. Burnt ground, broken trees, and smoke rising from the far end of the farm. Luke stood near the edge of the command post, looking at what used to be his grandpa's peaceful land. Zara stood beside him. Earth held its ground. That means something. Luke nodded. It means we are not weak, can stand with the stars. In the days that followed, more ships came. But they were not enemies. They came with flags, symbols of peace, and voices of support. One by one, leaders from distant planets arrived. They had heard what happened on Earth. They had seen how Luke fought back. A new meeting was held inside the ship. The large round table was now filled with different faces. Some had horns, some had feathers, others had glowing eyes. But they all listened as Luke spoke. We stood alone, and we won. But this fight is not only ours. There are others still hiding. Others still afraid. We must stand together. The room stayed quiet for a moment. Then one leader stood up. He had green skin and sharp ears. We thought Earth was lost to the stars. But now, we see hope again. We will follow you. Others agreed. More voices joined in. One by one, the alliance was reborn. Luke walked outside after the meeting. Molly was helping build new homes for the town. Henry was showing a small, alien boy how to plant a seed. The barn had become a place of learning. Humans and aliens worked side by side. You did this, Zara said, walking up. We all did, Luke said. No one wins a war alone. Euron approached with a device in his hand. The ship is ready. A new fleet is forming. They wait for your word. Luke looked at the sky. He knew what was next. The enemy was still out there. The dark fleets would come again. He had to go beyond Earth. He had to reach the stars. That night, a gathering was held in the field. Lights were placed on the ground. People from nearby towns came. They brought food, music, and stories. The stars above were clear and bright. Luke stood on a small platform. He looked at the people, human and alien, young and old, fighters and farmers. We are part of something bigger now, he said. Our planet is not alone. We have friends. We have a purpose. We are ready. Cheers followed. The sound echoed across the fields. Even the stars seemed to listen.
Ow.
The next morning, Luke packed his things. He walked through the house one last time. Every room held a memory. Paused in the kitchen, then the hallway, and finally the front porch. I guess you have to go. I guess you have to go. Luke nodded. It's more to do. Henry handed him a small notebook. Write down what happens out there. One day we'll want to know. Molly gave him a small bag. Snacks. You'll miss Earth food. Luke smiled. Thank you. It's both of you. The ship rose slowly above the farm. Below, the people waved. Children shouted his name. Fighters stood in salute. The ship turned toward the stars. Inside the command room, the crew waited. Zara, Euron, Kira, Nayar, and others were ready. A large screen showed a path through space. Where to, Commander? Euron asked. Luke looked at the stars. He pointed to a spot on the map. There. That system sent no answer. We check on them first. Zara gave a quick nod. Course set. The engines came alive. The stars outside began to stretch as the ship moved faster. Luke stood in the center of the room. He felt the weight of his role, but also the strength of his team. We are not just protecting Earth anymore, he said. We are bringing light to the dark. The crew nodded. No more words were needed. And so, the boy who once found a crashed ship in a field was now leading a fleet across the stars. His journey had just begun. Far away, in the corners of space, hidden eyes watched him. Some feared him. Others waited for him. But none could deny it. The commander had returned.